Hello children, welcome to today's English class. Hope you all are safe, healthy and happy at home, and all of you are strictly following the guidelines that have been issued during the COVID-19 pandemic to keep yourself healthy and safe. Do you remember what we had learned in the last class? In the last class, we had learned an interesting poem. I hope you might have enjoyed the poem. It was about a little girl who was being instructed, and she was all the time being controlled and nagged by her mother. And you must have also got the same feeling after reading the poem. And I'm sure you might have read the poem again and tried to write down the literary devices that we had learnt, and also you might have tried to look at the meanings and tried to comprehend the poem so that you can answer the questions well. As I had told you children in the last class, this year you have 40 marks for literature. So you need to read the poems and the lessons of your prose and supplementary text again and again very carefully. Reading with comprehension is very important. And as far as poems are concerned, they have many objectives. One of them is to make you appreciate the poem, the works of the poet, and the poets have various themes, most of them being related to your day-to-day life. So how do you connect the theme to your day-to-day life? And also at the same time you enjoy the beauty of the poem. And of course, every poem has got some message for us, something which we must learn and adopt in our life. So every lesson, every poem is a learning for us. So while we are reading the text, we are in the learning process. So today also we'll be learning a poem which is about animals. In your prose and supplementary, this year you have stories and poems about animals, because they too form an important part of the ecosystem. They are our friends. And what do we learn from them? We do learn a lot from animals. You remember we had studied the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. And what should be our attitude towards animals? Should animals be caged? How should they be treated? Okay, so today again I have a poem for you from your text, Animals by Walt Whitman. Let's try to understand the poem first, and then we'll also be discussing the question answers related to the poem. Animals by Walt Whitman. Now let's look at the first stanza. So look at the screen very carefully children and try to understand the poem as I read the lines and explain the literary devices and meanings to you. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. Now, placid here means calm and peaceful. Contained means keep up control, or to keep things in control, to have control over things. Now here in the first stanza, the poet Walt Whitman is talking about animals. Here he is comparing animals with human beings. And he says he wants to turn and live with animals. Here he wants to turn means he wants to change himself as an animal or into an animal, and he wants to live with animals. That means he wants to change his life from being with human beings to his life with animals. He wants to be with animals. And now he gives reasons for that. Why? Because they are so placid, they are so calm, so peaceful and self-contained. They have self-control. And that is the reason he admires the animals, and he stands there and looks at them for a long time. Here long and long means he stood there for some time and kept looking at the animals, admiring them for a long time. Now, here what is the comparison, children? Why he says that animals are so calm and they are so peaceful and they have self-control, whereas human beings are restless, isn't it? They are always after material things. They keep running for wealth, property, and for more and more comfort. They are not happy. They are not satisfied. And they don't have control, self-control. That means they don't have control over their desires, right? Their desires never end and they want more and more. So they don't have control over their needs, over their desire. They are more greedy. They are more selfish. Okay, that is the reason why the poet wants to live with animals. He also wants to become one among the animals and live with them. Because he finds so many drawbacks in human beings, and he finds animals far better than human beings. Okay, let's now look at the literary devices. Here the word long has been repeated, so it is repetition. Anaphora, I has been used at the beginning of 2 consecutive lines. So I is the anaphora there. Now let's move to the second stanza. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Here, sweat means complaint, and whine here is cry. Sins means our wrongdoings, and demented, mad or disturbed. Now here they refers to the animals. They do not sweat. That means they never complain. Have you ever seen animals complaining? I'm not happy. I did not get food today. Or, I'm not being taken care of. Have you ever seen? No. Right? That means they are content, they are happy. They never complain, and neither do they cry for material things. They never complain about their conditions. They are always happy with whatever they have. Whereas we human beings keep complaining always, right? We are never happy with whatever we have. Okay? And what do human beings do? They weep for their sins. They are awake in the dark. That means they can't sleep. So whenever they ponder about their sins, whatever they have committed, their wrongdoings, they are unable to sleep at night. They spend sleepless nights. They are awake at nights in the dark, thinking about their sins, and many a times weeping for their sins. Isn't it? The whole day, maybe we do so many things which we are not supposed to, which is wrong on our part. But before we go to bed, we try to recollect whatever we have done throughout the day. And then when we find that I should not have done this today, I should not have spoken to my parents like this, I should not have quarreled with my friend, I should not have used this language. Okay, So it comes to our mind at night, and many a times we repent and we are not able to sleep, and we weep. Sleep and weep, rhyming words, isn't it? And they do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. What do we human beings do? We say we are God-fearing, and we help people, we do charity, and we do good deeds to keep or make God happy, isn't it? We say we do things to make God happy. God has given us this wonderful world, and all the things in this earth are for our own comforts. So, what is our duty to God? To serve Him. So, we human beings sometimes pretend that we are serving God. We are doing this to make God happy. Okay? But animals don't do that. They are not afraid of God, right? They don't do things to make God happy. Or they don't weep for their sins. For they never commit sins. So the poet is sick of these acts of human beings, which they say they do for the sake of God. It is their duty. God has assigned certain duties for human beings, and so we are fulfilling our duties. So the poet is sick of all these acts of human beings. And he says no one is dissatisfied. Animals are always satisfied with whatever they have, and not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Human beings keep running after material wealth, right? If I have a bicycle, I want a scooter. If I have a scooter, I want a bike. If I have a bike, I want a house. If I have a small house, I have a bigger one. If I have a bigger one, I want the biggest house on this earth. So our wants are never ending, isn't it? We are never happy with whatever we have, and we keep running after material wealth to the extent that we forget our own duties, and we sometimes find ourselves in a situation where we don't have time to take care of ourselves or our own families. So this is the situation in our life. So he says, but animals are not like this. They don't run after material wealth. Of course, they are happy whenever they get food, isn't it? Even if they hunt just for their food, and only they have that much, whatever is required for them. They don't aspire for more. They are not greedy. Okay? So I hope this stanza is clear to you. Now let us look at the literary devices. Again, anaphora here, the use of repeated words at the beginning of two or more consecutive lines. Here, they do not have been repeated. Metaphor. Children, let me remind you once again what is metaphor. It is a poetic device used by the poets and writers to compare things without the use of like or as. So here, sweat and whine. Sweat, which meant complain or to complain, and whine here was to cry, to keep complaining and crying over things. So here these two words refer to the cries and complaints of human beings. As I've told you, in this poem, the poet is comparing animals to human beings. The qualities of animals are being compared to the qualities of human beings. Okay? Now, let's move to the next stanza. Not one nails to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So, they show their relations to me and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their position. Now, kneels means bow down. Okay? To bow down before someone else. To kneel down. Evince here means to show or to reveal. And possession means to have something, to own something. Okay? Ownership of something. Now let's try to look at the lines again and try to understand them. Not one. Here again the poet is talking about the animals. Not one kneels to another. Here animals, they don't bow down before another animal. Okay? Nor to his kind lived thousands of years ago. Nor to his kind here means the ancestors of animals. Animals have never bowed down before their ancestors also. They have not done this in the past also, and they don't do that in the present also. Okay? They don't need to ask for forgiveness, as they don't commit sins. Isn't it? That is the reason why they need not kneel down before their kind. And not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Everywhere throughout the earth, the qualities of animals or the nature of animals are the same. Okay? There is no rank or positions among the animals. Isn't it? They all are equal. There is no difference as human beings have, as of being rich or poor, isn't it? Wealthy or having property, or the question of status, high society and low society. So animals do not have all those things, whereas human beings have all those things. For human beings, the positions and status mean a lot. The rich are treated in a different manner, the poor are being discriminated and they have to suffer. There is caste difference, okay? Difference in the name of religion, caste, language. Okay, so animals do not have all these differences. For them, they do not have some animals in the respectable society and some animals which are not respected. But we human beings bother very much about our status. Okay, that is the reason why the poet says that they bring me tokens. Here tokens means qualities. Actually token also means symbol. Like we say, I give you this gift as a token of love, as a symbol of love. But here in this poem, tokens means qualities. So the poet talks about qualities. And the poet here, they bring me tokens of myself, they evince them plainly in their position. That means here the animals possess all good qualities, like being truthful, okay, selfless, right? So all these qualities, good qualities, are being possessed by the animals. They possess them even in the past, and now also they possess all those good qualities. And the poet says, maybe from them I have got all these good qualities. They have passed on these good qualities to me. That is why I am being attracted towards these animals. Okay? So now let's look at the literary devices here. It is metaphor. The inner qualities of humans are referred to as tokens, the qualities of human beings. Okay? And the qualities of animals. So they are being compared. So that is the metaphor here. Now let us go to the last stanza. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Here negligently is carelessly. Okay? So now in the last stanza, the poet introspects. He does introspection, isn't it? So he is trying to question himself, isn't it? From where do animals get these qualities? How is it possible that they are so good? And why I do not possess all those good qualities? Or why human beings do not possess these qualities? How is it possible that animals possess all these good qualities? So this is the introspection the poet does. Isn't it? Why is it that human beings are like this? Why am I like this? Why I do not have the qualities which these animals possess? So this last stanza is introspection by the poet. So children, I hope you have understood this poem. Isn't it very beautiful? And doesn't the poem carry a very beautiful message for us? Now let's try to understand what is the message the poet is trying to give through this particular poem. Okay? So the poet is trying to tell us, we human beings consider ourselves the most wonderful creation of God. Isn't it? We have been bestowed with lot of wonderful virtues, and we have been created in such a way that we are intelligent. Isn't it? We possess intelligence, and we are different because we have the power to think. That is how we feel that we are different from other creatures. Isn't it? So we think that man is superior than all the other creatures. But do we make the right use of the capacities and talents with which we have been bestowed? No, not at all. That is the reason here the poet says that though we are the best creations of God and we possess all the good qualities, but we have failed to prove ourselves, so we have misused the precious gift of God, the wonderful talents, and we have, been carried away by the material world, and we have been running after wealth, property, and money, and in that race we have forgotten our real purpose. What is the purpose with which we have been created? There is a purpose behind every creation, isn't it? So we have failed to prove ourselves as the best creation of God. And that is why the poet says that animals are better than us, because they so beautifully display the qualities which they possess. Initially, in the past, our ancestors used to display all these qualities. Isn't it? They were caring, loving, they were selfless, they were compassionate, they were dedicated, they were truthful. So all these qualities were displayed by human beings in the past, by our ancestors. But today, we have failed to do so. Isn't it? So that is the message the poet tries to give, that we have failed to display those qualities which we possess. Okay? The qualities with which we have been bestowed. And we have, been carried away from our real purpose, and we are running after the material things, whereas animals don't do that. So we have to learn a lot from animals. Isn't it? The animals teach us a lot through their life. Okay? So this is the message. So I hope you can add more points to this. You can come up with your own creative ideas as to what do we learn from the life of animals, and how we really need to practice these qualities in our life. So as students, it is not just going to school and completing the syllabus. It is something beyond that. We do learn many things in school, and that is why the lessons that have been included in your syllabus are endowed with lot of moral values. That is why in your exam you do get questions which are based on values, the value based question. Okay, that is why you need to be more creative and relate the poem and the lessons to your day-to-day life. So one question from the chapter could be the message of the poem, which we right now discussed. One of the questions could be, mention some of the qualities which animals possess and we human beings do not. Isn't it? Let's try to jot them down. Okay? So the qualities which animals possess, right? They are, they have self-control. Okay? They are not greedy. Okay? They are happy with whatever they have. Okay. What else we have learned, children? Please try to recollect the qualities about animals. They are not jealous, isn't it? Whereas we human beings are jealous of each other. We can't see people progressing, isn't it? And we do have competitions. We are jealous of each other, and animals are not jealous, right? So, and then they do care for each other, right? That means they maintain the relations. So that is how the poet feels that the animals have taught him what relations mean actually, isn't it? They do care for each other. They do love each other selflessly, right? So they maintain their relations, they care for each other, they are not jealous, they are, here you can also write, they are content with whatever, they have self-control, okay, they are happy, right? And now if we try to compare this with human beings, so it will be the opposite here. Human beings do not have control. Control on what? They do not have control on their desires, right? Their needs, okay? And therefore they become selfish. They are not content. Here they are not greedy, but here you can say that human beings are greedy and they keep running after material things. Okay? Now they are happy with whatever they have. Human beings are never happy, or you can say never happy or content with whatever they have. Okay? Then not jealous. Okay? So human beings are jealous. Okay? And care for each other. Here we can say that the relations do not, you can say they do not, or you can say they do not maintain the relations the way they need to be maintained. Isn't it? In this material world, you might have experienced, in a family, unity does not exist because of the property, because of wealth. Isn't it? There are differences of opinion. There are quarrel in the family for property, for wealth. Isn't it? There is no love and unity between brothers, between siblings. Parents are not being taken care of. You might have seen many children, who leave their parents in the old age home. Isn't it? They are left without care. So, this is the relation human beings have, whereas animals do not have these kind of relations. They do care because they are not greedy of any material things. So, if you try to compare the qualities of animals and human beings, so there could be question as to why the poet was attracted towards animals, right? Why the poet was attracted towards animals, and why he wants to become one among them, why he wants to go and live with them. So you need to again talk about these qualities. He finds them calm, he finds them self-contained, and he sees that they are not selfish, they are caring, and they are innocent, okay, and they do not cheat each other, and they are not greedy. So all these qualities attracted the poet, and therefore, whereas he finds human beings lack all these qualities, which in fact they need to possess. So these are some of the questions, and you should also look at the questions which are there at the back of your text and try to answer them. Okay, and try to find the answers from the text and also add your own creative points. So I hope, children, you enjoyed today's poem, and we had a great learning, a great lesson from animals, and I'm sure you will try practicing all the good qualities in your life and try to prove that human beings are the most wonderful creations of God. In the next class, I'll meet you with some other topic. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.